Hi, everybody, and welcome to season 2, episode 1 of
Woo!
the Holistic Hoedown. Yay, we're back.
Yes, we are back.
How are you doing, Reba? I haven't seen your face in so long.
I
How
know
was the
we haven't,
holidays?
yeah, they were good. We haven't seen each other or really talked much for the last month and a half, really. We went on our hiatus
Yeah,
and it was great. I always love the holidays. But here in Denver, we didn't have any snow until literally like last week. And it didn't, for you, that's probably like normal. But for me, it was like, this is not the holidays. Like,
yeah. If you live in a place that gets snow and you don't get snow on Christmas, it's like, what are we even doing this for?
what is this even if it's like around the time, it sort of like gears you up into this cozy feeling. And like we have fireplaces, like wood burning fireplaces in our house, and we I love to do that. And my husband's like, it's not even cold enough, it's like 70. And I'm like, like
It
I
was
need my
it was 81 degrees here
oh
on
my gosh,
Christmas.
oh my gosh. Well,
We were
we
like, I
it
guess
was
we have
about the same.
margaritas. I don't know. Well, we can't. Do we drink
Drink
margaritas on
margaritas.
Christmas when it's 80 degrees? Sure,
Oh
why
my
not?
god, yes. And that's so it was great. We I feel like we did a lot of cool stuff. It was my anniversary. I've been married 16 years now. Holy shit.
Congratulations.
Thank
Wow.
you. You guys, and that was not fucking easy.
No,
Like
it's not.
I
I
we
don't
have
know what
worked
year we're on,
so
and it's
freaking
so
hard.
hard.
Like, and not only that, I mean, this to go into other things, but we have talked about this on our Mondays where it's like, how come you fight on date night, your anniversaries? You're like, I don't know.
Wait,
We
did
are
you fight?
doing
Did you fight on
we
your
did. We did.
anniversary?
Oh, it was like actually like one of our biggest fights ever in life.
Of
But
course.
we came out better for it, but it was like, shit, man, how do you do that every time, But so we're good. Like I'm good. I am ready for this year. Like I'm re- I love the break, but I'm always ready to get back to normalcy.
Yeah. In fact, I
Um,
think on Monday morning, I like Marco Polo'd you, and I was like, "All right, it's
so
January
what are we
3rd.
doing?
What's what's the deal? What's happening with the podcast? I'm ready."
I think we both felt that shove, and it was like, yes. So, what about you? How was your hiatus?
It was really good. I mean, looking back on it, it just feels like a blur. But I guess some days are, some weeks are like that when your kids are little, but the
Oh
kids
yeah.
loved Christmas. We didn't go anywhere. We stayed home. We went to my in-laws' house. My in-laws live about an hour away from us, so we
Hmm.
see them pretty regularly anyway, but we did Christmas in the morning with the boys, and then, we went over there and had Christmas dinner and opened presents there, and they got entirely too much plastic shit, but you know what? That's Christmas, I guess.
I mean, I think we go through ebb and flows of
Right.
that for Christmas. We did our life on the upcycle, no, what?
Mhm, mhm.
Uh, and it's like sometimes I feel so motivated to be sustainably minded, and then sometimes I'm like, fuck it, I want to buy this thing, and like I think we have to accept that.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
it's like, hopefully though, things are starting to be made in a more intentionful way,
I mean,
intentionful.
are Nerf guns really made more mindfully now? Because I've got a shitload of Legos, Nerf guns, so many Nerf darts, I swear to God, if I see another Nerf dart, I'm just gonna start
Yeah,
throwing them outside.
outside.
Oh.
But then they're outside, and like my neighbor, their kids have them a lot, and I just throw them back over the fence. Like they'll just be everywhere outside, so it's
They're
fine.
they're everywhere,
But
anywhere.
like, but Lego is doing a thing, I think, where you can like send in your old Legos, and like you can. I feel like there's stuff like they're starting to do. I could be totally wrong, but I'm pretty sure I heard about some, like you can send in your old Legos instead of them ending up somewhere else. Like you can kind of recycle them or give them to other people.
I mean, why couldn't you? It's just plastic. Melt that shit down, change the color, do whatever it is you gotta do. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or they have some kind of sorting mechanism. I don't know. There's going to be something.
right.
That's fun.
Ashley from Life on the Upcycle, if you're listening,
Can you please let us know?
let us know about the status of sustainable Legos. Thank you.
Yes.
But
So,
you kind of touched on it a bit earlier. You know, January 3rd came and we both felt that push.
mhm.
Why do we feel that push at the beginning of the year to set goals, change our lives, get our shit together, you know, start working out, start eating right? What is it, because we just let ourselves go during the holidays to enjoy it, and the new year is the excuse we tag on to, okay, we got to clean it
I
up.
guess, yeah, yeah,
Can't
yeah,
can't be doing this anymore. It's not the holidays, you know.
yeah. Well, I mean, I was thinking about this because I think it's fascinating. Well, first of all, time is it's not like, I don't want to say relative. Time is relative, but I think that it's so interesting that most of us celebrate the new year. I mean, there's the Chinese New Year, right? And I'm sure
Mhm.
there's maybe other calendars that are looked up,
I
used
think the Jewish New Year is also different.
different.
Hmm.
Um, but a lot of us as a collective, and any new year, you're celebrating together as like this is a new beginning,
Yeah,
and it marks a new time. And whether you can do that any day, but there is something when a collective of people are at the same time deciding to do something different. I do think. And I
yeah.
think
I mean,
that's
you can feel
fascinating.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can feel it in the air. And no, it's not the Peloton commercials and the Weight Watchers commercials. You feel everybody go, okay,
Yeah.
let's start again. you know?
Yeah, like, okay, new start, you know?
Yeah,
Like, I feel like a lot of people at times in your life, you're like, I do want a new start. I want a fresh start. And that maybe feels like, okay, it's not totally possible, but really, every day is a new start. You get to
yeah,
choose what you do that, like every moment can be a fresh start. But
right.
there is something, I love New Year's.
I do
I was
too.
just telling, like, I love it so much. And
The excitement of the possibilities that could happen for the next year. Yeah,
yeah,
it's an excitement in the air, and I'm getting goosebumps talking about it because you can feel it.
yeah. Like this new vibration too. Also, like, so in numerology, um we are now in, well, not only does it have a 22 in its,
What?
what, two,
And we're 22s?
yeah, but so it equals 6, so we're in the a new vibrational year, all of us,
Oh, cool.
as a people, but we're also all now creeping into new personal years for ourselves. So, like, I just went into my 7th personal year, which will be more about like being more introspective, working on myself, personal growth. And I'm really excited about that, like that internal turning inward, really.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of other things that that vibration brings, but now everyone's shifting into a new vibration at that same time. So as a collective, we're doing those things, and that makes me excited. So I don't know. There's a lot with it.
I feel like we're going to need to have a numerology episode this season,
Gosh,
because
it's
what you just
fascinating.
said, I was like, I want to know what year I'm in, and what the fuck are you talking about? I want to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we haven't really talked about that because we are both 22s,
Hmm.
and our husbands are number 7. So we're gonna have to get on. We're gonna have to
I
get
know.
on. I was
We're
like, I
going off the
can't get
rails
into
here, guys.
you're not getting into that because it's too much. But
Stay
okay,
tuned for another episode on numerology.
yeah. So what what do you do as like, we talk about intentions, we talk about goals, we talk about, you know setting resolutions, but what do you do as you gear up for the new year? Like, is there something, because you were talking about like I've kind of switched to intentions, and I used to be like, what the hell is that? So, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, before I started my spiritual journey, people would say, "Okay, what set an intention for this practice like in yoga." And I was always like, "To make it through?" Like
I'm,
like what? I don't understand. I don't understand. So, and I've always been a very goal oriented driven person. Like I have lists that reference lists and I like checking things off. I love goals. But I never like the okay, a goal is something that you can measure. A goal is something and then giving me all these rules about what my goal should be. I'm like, "No.
Mm. Yeah,
If
I
it
don't
feels
know.
good, then do it." Okay? That's my like
That's how
why
I
do I
work.
have to meet all these corporate criteria for goal setting? So then I threw my I never was brave enough to be like, "Hey, what does intention mean?" So I kind of figured it out on my own, and I realized that this is like an energetic goal to me. To me, that's what an intention is. It's setting, and yeah, it could be I want to like one of my goals is to meditate every day, even if it's for 5 minutes, but set aside at least 5 minutes for myself every day to meditate. So that's obviously a measurable thing. But to me, there's some sort of energy behind it that makes it different. And I don't know if any of that makes sense, but it
Yeah, I
does
think
right up here.
it does. Don't worry, it is to me. That's all that
All right.
matters.
Don't you worry. I got it.
It's making a difference for me. I feel like whenever I send, it's like about intent, right? Like, why are you doing something?
Yeah,
Like,
maybe that's what I'm trying to say.
yeah, something
Yeah.
like I feel like there's intent and there's been thought behind it, and my intention is to share today on our podcast was to, you know, share what we have inside of us and what we love to talk about. And we wanted to share how we make intentions and to hopefully inspire.
Right.
And that was our intention. And for the highest and best for us and for our community and the universe, right? Like, so those are our intentions. And
Hmm.
I think that intentions are important because when someone does something with love and with a why, I think that you can tell that. And
Yeah.
if it means something, I think, I don't know, when I set an intention, it might come, I feel more from my heart, or maybe, like you said, from an energetic space.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I
But
wasn't
that's
too
how it feels to
crazy.
me. No, 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 no. I mean, we are crazy, but that wasn't too crazy.
Of all the shit I say, that was
It was,
probably not the craziest. I do believe in aliens, so
right. Not, but I mean, I don't know that that's that out there anymore, but, um, okay, so, like, what is your process? Because I feel like we've kind of like we don't have a total crazy process, but we as a family do stuff, and like for myself, I've kind of like changed the way I think of New Year's and what I do. What is your process like?
I took to be honest, my process has always been like through the month of December, I'm just on not high alert, but awareness of like if I see myself doing something and I don't like it, I'm like, okay, why do I do that? What can I so as I go through the month of December, I just kind of constantly have it in the back of my head. Okay, what would you like to see more of, yourself next year or whatever that looks like. This year I took a more organized approach.
Oh, oh,
I have a list with
yeah.
bullet
Oh my
points.
God,
Oh,
that
I
is
know.
actually
I
very
know. I
organized.
know. So proud of myself. So I wanted to start with like I told myself, okay, because I have a lot going on. We've got this podcast, I've got my food blog and nutrition and Reiki business I want to get off the ground, and I've got, marriage and family and personal growth, and I was getting kind of overwhelmed with the categories in my life that I wanted to set intentions around. So that's why I had to list it out because I was like, there's too much. I can't do it. So I told myself start with two things for each category that you want to improve. And if you have more for that category, great. But just start with two. Don't hold yourself to 15 because then it
Yeah.
becomes defeating, right? So start with two. And I got all two for all of them except for family, which I have a little bit of guilt around that, oddly enough. So But I have, personal, my business, the podcast, my marriage, and then my family. So do you want me to share? Are we sharing?
Well, I mean, we can share. I think that it's sort of like, well, what did you want? What do you want most for the year? Because, like, okay, I love when people make themes for the year or like one word that they just want to like keep with them for the year. It's like
Hmm.
when I had the year of Rebecca, it was like, no, this like everything that I want to do is about me and is this towards my own growth and healing. And it was like, do I want to do this? And that was a year where I really felt like I stepped into myself more fully. I mean, I think every year you're doing that, or every moment you're doing that a little more. But
Hmm.
um, like, do you have an overall theme for your year, or is there something? I guess is there something that jumps out for you, like that you're like these are the big points, or
I want to work on detaching myself from things, detaching myself from outcomes, from
mm,
situations that no longer serve me, from just not being so attached to things and people, but not in a not a, I don't want to say that in a negative way, but
no, it's super non-attachment is a huge practice in like yogic stuff, and I think Buddhism too. Non-attachment
mhm,
is a fascinating subject because
yeah,
how can you not be attached but then also care?
right. Like I don't want to detach from my marriage, but I don't want to let the day-to-day shit in my marriage weigh me down because I can't let it go. I can't
Mm,
detach from that fight we had on our anniversary or, whatever.
damn it.
Mine's coming on June, so I'm sure it's waiting for me.
It's waiting for you there.
But, and right, like how do you so right, and that's such an we could do a whole podcast episode
On
on that
non-attachment,
alone
I know. I
because
know.
that
I need to
has
write this
been
shit down.
one of the hardest things I can't that I've been working on, and I've just been kind of I haven't really doubled down on it. So I think this year's the year I doubled down. I feel something in the air, like you talked about earlier. I'm a 22. It's 2022. This is the first year my husband has been out of school since we had kids. So I feel like we can breathe and like we're kind of creating our new normal where he's more involved and he, you know, does more around the house because he couldn't for so long. So we're kind of creating a new family in a way. And I do feel when you said the year of Rebecca, I was like, well, maybe 2022 is the year of Megan because Megan can have time to breathe.
Breathe. Yeah.
So I think, I mean, I like that. And I'm a terrible intention setter because as I hear things, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'd
Oh
like some
yeah,
of that
that's
too.
shiny.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good. I'll take some of that. So I'm like, yeah, sure. This was definitely the most organized I've been ever because usually it's like, yeah, I'll take some of that. Thanks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I think for me, because I'm very similar to that and it kind of can change day to day. But when I had the year of Rebecca, that's why it leaves it open to so much where it's
Yeah.
like, is this in my highest and best interest? And do I want to do this? And that was not only people pleasing got out of the way. Um, like I just started to care about me. Talk about self care when you can say no, like it was like all those things that could have been on my list, right? Like stop people pleasing, say no more. Like those could have been goals and resolutions. For me, the theme was like all of that is an umbrella for all these other things that might pop up where it's like, well, now I'm learning about non-attachment to going to this party or being there for a friend because now I have to be non-attached to like that outcome because I need to do this to serve myself and I hope that they
Hmm.
understand. And um, I guess one of the big things too that I've been thinking about is when we set a goal, it's like once we reach that goal, there's always another goal, right? Like, and that is so fleeting. It can be like,
Mhm.
oh, I did it, sort of. Or if it's, it's like, oh, I made this much money or I did this, it's like, okay, there's an measurable action, right? Or a thing that
Right.
happened. But there's we spend way more time in the process than in the actual result, right?
Mhm.
And I don't know, I just started thinking about an intention or things like that. Maybe you're more focused of the in the process. Like how can we be more process oriented than results oriented and be more about growth than the result?
Right. Be more about the journey and less about the destination. Being
Yeah.
I think being I think that's being present, which is a constant goal. Intention for me is to, when I feel myself getting anxious or, take a deep breath. And that I'm hoping that through, like I said, I want to meditate at least 5 minutes a day, every single day. And I'm hoping that that will sort of facilitate that ability more than it is now, because it's still not one of the things I first think of, right? So I wanted to
Hmm.
be able, I guess I want to cultivate more peace, really.
Yeah. And that honestly could be one of your overarching themes is like peace because non-attachment I do think brings peace.
Yeah.
In those ways I think it has for me.
Yeah.
Um like I love my children almost where you're like how can I not be attached to the outcome for them?
Right.
And
Right.
overbearing hovering mom, and it's like but I have to let them breathe and I have to be non-attached to everything that happens in their lives
Right.
because that in that freedom they grow and learn and can live their lives more fully.
Hmm.
And also so can I because whenever you're thinking so much about that and so attached to them, it's like I'm not free to be me.
Hmm.
I don't know. So I don't know where I was exactly going with that, but non it creates peace as a theme.
Yeah.
Like and some other people I've known, they come up with really fun themes for their year. And like I think somebody I knew, I thought this one was awesome. He was like something like magician or wizard, where it was like he just wanted to like put things together and like bring things together and smush it and like
He wanted to
be a
make magic.
chemist. He wanted to make magic for his year, and I just was like, that is so cool,
I like that.
you
That's
know.
cool. Yeah.
And so I think you can be so creative, and I think I actually don't have a theme for my year now that I'm thinking of that for this year. I've been kind of thinking about that. No, actually, I do. I do have a theme for my year.
All right. What is it?
Okay, so my husband and I think we're a lot kind of similar with our husbands, but I'm a dreamer and I'm a like, oh, I'll manifest this, I'll do this, or like I like to just be up in the clouds. I'm also a Pisces, so I'm also very dreamy. And um, he's like, oh, we got those little cards that you can ask each other questions. Have you seen those on Instagram? Have they popped up for you? They're really
Mm-mm.
cool. Like you can do it for a couple or a like for your family, and they're just insightful questions that you can ask to each other. And it was sort of like what's something that's holding you back that for
Oof.
you to be your highest and best self, so we answer this for each other, right? And he so lovingly yeah,
I
he
just love
really
where this is going so lovingly, comma.
he really did because he sort of talked about it before. And as a manifesting generator I am all over the place, right? Where it's like oh here and I have a lot of freedom in my life, I really do. But he was just like just do the work. I
Oh.
don't want to. No, it wasn't that I don't want to, but my priority has been I'm a stay at home mom. I it's like been about them and our house, and we've been through renovations, so it was like doing this house and decorating, doing like
Mhm.
it's always constantly something else. And making my work a priority this year is that's kind of my theme. And it's like just fucking work and like make and create. That's
Yeah.
that's kind of my theme. So with the podcast, with interior decorating or sustainability, all that stuff that I want to work with, it's like it's okay that you're doing all those things, but just work and put shit out. Like put content out and just do it. Stop being scared. Stop, I'll be like, oh, I'll put this little piece out. I'll do this little thing. It's like put it out. So
Yeah.
I guess that's a long version of what my theme is of why.
That's kinda how I feel about my business. Just, I don't it's funny, I don't really have a direction, and I probably should, but I think that's not the way my brain thinks
No.
because, in my mind, 5 years ago, I said, "This is what I want for my life. Make it happen." And I don't know when it's gonna happen. I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I know what I can control is doing the work. So,
Yeah.
getting recipes tested, getting those recipes posted, improving my food photography so people actually want to click on my links and make my food, and become more consistent at posting in social media. And so those are all the things that I know I need to be doing because that goal is going to happen for me because I know that I'm I'm doing what I was put here to do. So I know that it's going to happen for me. I don't know when, right?
And that probably depends on the work, right? Like
Right.
how much work are
Right.
you putting in?
So I feel like I'm at a point with my business where all I need to do is put my head down and do the fucking work. Churn out recipes, make contact, help people on their journeys to becoming healthier. Just put my head down and do it. And then hopefully at one point I'll pick my head up and I'll be like, oh my God, look at
Yeah.
this empire I created through the
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and
for sure.
and that's the thing. I think we're held back by a lot of things in that process of doing the work. It's like, okay, well, it takes a lot of freaking time to just do one freaking Instagram post.
Oh
For
my God.
fuck's sake.
God.
Like everyone who ever creates content, I'm like, does it ever get like like easier? I'm sure it does, but it's like it takes time and energy to create a post.
Yeah.
And
And especially the posts we want to create because we want to put
yes,
thoughtfulness, meaningful shit out there. It's not just blah, you know? It's not just throwing shit out there. We want to put our energetic vibration into every post we post. And that's exhausting.
yeah, and so
It's exhausting.
I mean, we can get into that, but at the same time, we just need to get stuff out. Like
Right.
instead of overthinking it, instead of perfecting it. And I think that goes for a lot of things, not just Instagram, and that's for a lot of people. It's like we're so held back by fear and it not being ready or it not being quite right. But really, or if that's your business, if it's that is your in your relationship, just because it's not exactly totally quite right, doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. And that's what I feel like. It's funny the conversations that I've had when I just post something sort of like, oh, I did this soup, and people are like, hey, what's in that recipe? And I like put it on my story. And it wasn't even meant to be, I just wanted to share this thing. And it started a conversation.
Right.
I guess what I'm getting at is the thing we don't have to overthink so much. I know.
We can maybe release our attachment
From yes,
from the outcome and
yes,
release our attachment to the process.
yeah,
Huh? Yeah.
yeah,
I
exactly
think
right.
that's one of the biggest reasons I chose that is I do get hung up on, is it perfect? Am I going to offend somebody? Am I being me? Am I being authentic? Am I being annoying? Just put it out there.
Yeah, because
Release
I'm,
your attachment
yeah,
to what other people think your post is going to be
yeah,
and fucking post it.
yes, or fucking say it or fucking do it and be you. I think that is a big one for me is how can I be more fully me? And the thing is that I'm constantly changing. So it's
Mhm.
like, oh, well, now this is more fully who I am. And now how can I express that?
Right.
I pulled a tarot card and it was the Nightingale. And it was like, you just gotta talk, dude. Basically, like, just sing what's in your heart and get more connected with your heart. And I think that that is a hope I have for everyone, to be a little bit more connected to their heart space. Maybe you're already very connected to your heart space, and I think I go in and out of that connection.
Mhm.
But it's like, the more you know what's on your heart, the easier it is to speak or
Right.
be more fully you. So I guess that's part of my theme. Um, this year was interesting too. My kids are 15 and 12, and my husband had off for most of the time. And so we actually did, um, I told everyone separately, like, you go make family goals or intentions or things you want to do this year as a family. And then, how do you want to do, how do you want to grow personally? Like, what are some of your goals that you want to do? And whether that's through school, through, soccer, or all the things that they do. So we all
Mhm.
went and created ours, and then we went around and shared, which is a little
Cool.
different than we've ever done before. Like, we've kind of done that together before where I've had them do those things, but to have us as a family go through that was really insightful. I
I
learned
love
a lot about my kids. Yeah, and about, like, what they value to do as a family, and where did they want to go and what's a priority for them? Like, do we want to travel together? Do we want to stay in state? Do we, you know, and it's, and then not only that, but we can also help each other stay on course
Yeah.
and
Got that
remind us.
accountability.
Yeah. Like, my daughter's wanted to be able to do a backflip from the ground. Like, she can do it while she's on the trampoline and all this stuff. And she's like, she kind of made it a goal for last year. And she's like, I really need those, like, mats that you can fall on, basically, or whatever, or someone to help teach me. And I'm like, she had that intention last year. She didn't really do it. But now I'm like, okay, well, if you still have that intention, like, how can I help you?
Yeah.
What do you need to get this goal? And I don't know. That was a fun thing we did this year too.
I like that. I like that idea when, actually, I think I'd want to do that now just because kids are fucking hilarious when they're 4 and 6. Like,
Yes.
what's your goal? I want to build the biggest Minecraft mansion that ever was. Great, bud.
Yes.
You still get 30 minutes a day.
You're not getting more down.
I'm teaching you time management. You'll thank me later.
But it is really fascinating to teach your kids about, like, well, what do you actually want? Because then you can spend more of your time, hopefully, going towards those goals.
Mhm.
And I love, I read a book and I wish I knew what book it was years ago that was like, having those goals, you can always ask yourself, is this bringing me closer or further away from those goals, from that piece, or from just doing the work? And it's like, if the answer is no, then don't fucking do it.
I mean,
Don't
we
go to that party, or don't go do
don't
whatever.
plan that holistic hoedown retreat because we'll
Yeah.
lose our asses if we do it.
Yes. Yes.
That's been something that you've talked about from the very beginning of this podcast episode. And I've always liked that. And I've always, or not always, but since I've met you and we started doing this, I find myself asking that question a lot. Like, is this going to, reach our goals as a podcast? Is this going to reach my goal as, a food blogger? Is this going to reach, if no, then, put that on the back burner. And then having that non attachment, having that ability to go, even though I really want to do a girls' retreat, it's just not in the cards right now. It might be later, but it's not right now.
Yeah.
And being okay with that.
Yeah, because I know both of us have 1,000 million ideas. Like, and there are so many things that light us up, and we're like, ooh, like, well, like I said, it's like shiny object, shiny object. Like,
Squirrel.
oh my god, let's do this now. Um,
My husband
but
makes
I,
fun of me all the time because he's always like, "Squirrel." I'm like, "Ah,
God,
so?"
yeah, exactly. I was like, can you stop? Like, I need my creative juices to flow. Like, I need to just get this out, and then I can think through, like, is it actually what I want? And like, I love that he can be a sounding board sometimes, where he'll just look at me and I'm like, oh God, dang it, I really wanted to do that thing.
Well, I think even Alex pulled that on me because last year we were talking about monetizing the podcast, and I was picking his business brain. I'm like, "How do we do this?" And he's like, "Why do you want to monetize?" I'm like, "So I can quit my job and be a podcaster full time." He goes, "But what is your true goal right now of the podcast?" I'm like, "Well, to grow our community." And he goes, "And how does monetizing get you to that goal?" And I was like, "It doesn't."
Yeah,
And he goes,
dang it.
"Well, I think you know where I'm going with this." I'm like, "Yes, I do." Okay, fine. Fine.
Yeah, our life coaches, our built-in life coaches,
Yeah. They
business
just
life
kind of
coaches.
like bring us back down to
Back
earth
to earth.
because we
Yeah,
like to hang out in the clouds. So they just
yeah,
kind of
me
bring us
too.
back down.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I guess we had a family talk. We had, like, you have some groups of goal. Like, it sounded like you had, okay, you had a lot of things like business, family, all of those things. Um, were there any, I don't know, like for personal growth, okay, non-attachment, mostly peace. But this is what I was going to bring up. Okay, Tony Robbins. I loved, it's like sort of, how do we talk about our goals? So it's like it can be a theme, but it can also be, okay, this is just one I remember most, but making a fun way to remember it. But like, I always like to work on, when I work out, I want my butt to look good. So,
That's okay.
oh no, how did I phrase it? It was just like creating a fun saying around your goal, like, I want a fabulous ass. Or it wasn't even like that. It was better than that. But
Mine is I want to be internet famous. And everybody laughs at me because who doesn't want to be internet famous?
right at this
And I
point, yeah.
laugh right along with them. But I'm like, no, I'm gonna be internet
And then
famous.
famous then.
Like,
Thank
you don't understand. My angels are working on it. Like, it's happening. It
yes.
just hasn't happened yet. And I make a joke about it and everybody laughs and I'm like, I'm serious.
No, no, but really, this is what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that those kinds of things, making how whenever you make a song, you remember, or like you remember the ABCs, they created a song for it, or kids or songs from your childhood. It's a similar thing of how, like, to train your brain
Mhm.
to be focusing on those things. So if you can make a fun saying, or like, I want a fat ass, or like, I don't even, like, you're like, juice, I
I
want
think the
juicy.
word they use now, Reba, is
Oh,
thick with
oh,
2
thick.
C's. I think
Uh,
that's the word. They don't
okay,
use fat
I'm
anymore.
not that cool, but now I
Me neither.
know. Now I know. Um, but what I'm getting at is like making it fun and playful, and so that our brain can constantly be attracting and attaching to that. And that what we do, and it makes it a little more fun. I think one year one of mine was just like to have way more fun.
Yeah.
Like, that was my goal, and I'm like, am I having way more fun how can I have way more fun right now in my life? Because I was so serious, where it feels like so serious sometimes, and I'm like, really, when I have way more fun, my life is just way more happy and peaceful and all of the things.
And I think vibrationally and manifestingly, that's what gets us where we want to be. I think the universe responds best to joy and fun and happiness.
Oh yeah.
So if you want that fat ass when you do yoga and that makes you smile when you're, doing your whatever it is in yoga that gives you a fat ass, position, and that makes you smile a little more, then I think your ass grows 2 sizes bigger.
Bigger. Right? Yeah. And so I don't know, I haven't created a lot of those lately, but I thought that that was a fun idea and something I've done in the past that I've enjoyed. Um, I don't know. Have you done anything else? Because this is the first year that you wrote them down.
Yeah, usually they're in my head, and
Uh-huh.
we know how I'll know how reliable that can be.
Yes.
But I felt like this year I had so many in my head, and I they were, I wanted when I looked at my list, I didn't wanna I wanted to look at, okay, what did I envision for my business this year? And I go and I look, okay, am I doing those things? All right, or what do I wanna do for the podcast? Or so I wanted to be able to do what I think I should have been doing, which is write it down and reference it throughout the year. Whoa!
Right, right. Well, and I don't create a lot of vision boards, but I'm having a vision board event. Um,
I saw that.
and what I love about that is that I am a visual person.
Mhm.
And so it's like when I can see that, I remember one year before I even knew about manifesting or like those kinds of things. I was in student government in my college, so
Look
I
at
had
you,
an
you
office.
politician.
I know, I know. Look at me. I didn't even
You need a
realize.
power suit.
I would like that actually.
Who doesn't?
um, who doesn't want a power suit? Um, but I had put courageous in, like I had used construction paper and put it above my um, office space, like my desk. And I felt like that visual was so, like looking back on that, I'm like, oh, I was doing that. I was creating a vision board of I
Mhm.
wanted more courage in my life. And so, vision board, writing it down, I think there's something a little more magical to it when we write it with intent. Like there's a little more intention. It's out in the world. The universe knows.
Right,
You
it's
really
real.
know. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
real.
It's from thought to paper or to poster board, or it's
Yes.
out there.
Yes.
For better or worse, it's out there. For
Yeah.
better. We'll say it's for better.
But
Obviously,
yeah,
it's for better.
hopefully.
Everything is always for our highest good, so it's for better.
Well, we hope, I guess, with an intention that is for our highest good and for the highest good of others, our community, because sometimes our highest good may not be in the highest good for others.
Yeah.
So it's like where that balancing act I do think comes into play.
Mhm.
But I do like the visual. And sometimes it doesn't have to be a huge poster board. It could be something small that you keep in your pocket or something, a rock that you infuse with your intention for the year that you carry around in your purse or in your car. I think there's so many creative ways to keep up with that. And that kind of leads me into how we had talked about it doesn't have to be just at the new year that we're
Yeah,
making these
don't
intentions.
don't do this once a year. Like like you said, every day is a new opportunity. And if your goal that you set at in January is not realigning, you've learned a lot from January to June, and now in June you're like, now that I know what I know, I'm going to change paths a bit. I'm going to change my intentions. I'm going to change my goal because I didn't know I have more information now than I did back in January. So I'm going to change my goal. I'm going to pivot or I'm going to tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't I think a lot of people put a lot of stock in the New Year's resolutions. And to me, it's like, well, I kind of set little goals for myself every month or set intentions for myself every moon cycle.
Mm.
So for me, yes, the ones in January feel a bit more powerful just because it marks a change in time. But uh, to me, it's like, okay, this is it's just one more month, one more set of intentions. I don't I think they're all big deals, right? And I think this is your life. You should reserve the right. to change your intention halfway through the year if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
So I don't want people, oh well, I fell, the best example of this is losing weight in the new year or starting that healthy diet. And then by the time Lent rolls around, we're all right. Lent is my second chance at New Year's resolutions. And
Yeah.
then after Lent is over, where there's nothing, right?
There's
And
holidays.
there's and a lot of us don't like my husband's family is Catholic, but I'm not Catholic. And while I grew up celebrating the season of Lent, we didn't give anything up. It wasn't anything like that. So even as a kid, Lent really wasn't a big deal for me. But I think what I'm trying to say is don't wait for an excuse to change your mind. Don't wait for the next cycle for you to get back on that diet. Start working out again. You can decide to do that tomorrow. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to wait until, well, I tried to give up sugar and I made it 2 weeks, so I guess I'll try again next year. No,
Right.
keep trying.
Yeah. I love actually one, someone had told me, because I was like, oh, I need to just do a detox and a cleanse. And she's like, don't like worry about it. Or she was just like, just set a date and that's the day you're going to do it.
Right.
And it was like, okay. Like, okay, I'm like, okay, it doesn't have to be tomorrow. Cause here you're always like, oh, I just need to start it. I need to, like, I don't know.
I'll start on Monday.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll start on Monday. But no, truly, whenever I felt like I was like, no, I'm going to do it this day because I'll have some time to prep, I'll have time to plan. And then I'm like, I'm ready to start that day. That day just felt good to start. It, it made a difference. And
Because you
because I
set
had
that
an
intention.
intention. Yeah.
Right. Ah, jinx.
Yes. And I think we can go back to that at any time we want.
Right.
And it would be interesting to have, like I told you, how when other people know your intention, do you share your intention with others usually? And is it actually helpful? Or it's almost like an accountability partner or partners where you're like, hey, wasn't your intention for this year? Is that like a check-in? Like, are you
Yeah.
still on track for this? Like, are you still, is your main goal peace? Then what are you doing going to this thing that you don't want, like, or whatever it is?
Right. So that feels like a very double-edged sword to me because there have been so many times where I've said, I'm going to do this out loud to other people. And when it didn't work out, or I had to change course, and somebody was like, well, I thought you were going to do that. What happened there? And then there's this almost judgment of others that it didn't go the way you had, you know, first proclaimed it. And so over the years, and I'm not saying this is a good thing, it might not be. Over the years, I find that I keep those things to myself. The big things, the important things, the things that, like, the things that are most important to me, I keep to myself. And then when they're done, I'm like, hey, you didn't know I was working on it, but look what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't have to hear other people's opinions. I don't have to hear my ego manifested in somebody else saying, are you sure you want to do that? Aren't you worried what other people are going to think? Are you sure? Is that really what you want to do? But I thought you said this and now you're doing that. Well, I changed my mind. Oh, okay. You know, I,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like for my own heart, I keep a lot of that close to my heart because I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. It's
I
stuff
get
I
that.
already hear in my head that I have to meditate, I
Mm-hmm.
work it out of my head. I don't want to have to hear it from you too, you know?
Yeah.
Probably not
Maybe we need better people to talk it out with.
a good. Right. I'm like, wait a minute. This
I
doesn't
mean,
seem right.
or well, I mean, gosh, excuse me. I get that. I really do. because I think then you don't have to share that you've maybe failed, or that because you can feel like a failure where you're like, okay, well, I got off track. And I do think that talking to someone else who either is on the same process or understands the process a little bit more, or you set kind of a ground rules. I don't want to say ground rules, but like, hey, when we're trying to be accountability, or whenever we're trying to like keep each other on track, these are kind of the things that, I don't know, how we talk about it in a non-judgmental way, where you're like, hey, I just wanted to remind you, like, so how are you feeling about that theme that you had, like, because this doesn't seem like it's fitting in, but like, are you still on board for that, in a way that maybe is not confrontational or judgmental? Because I do think that there are people sometimes. I think my husband and I have got better in understanding each other's process, so that we can be better facilitators for each other. Like, we
Hmm.
truly want to see each other grow, but that has taken time because we're different people. And sometimes whenever I feel like, I'm like, you're literally making me feel bad right now, or whatever. And so I have to tell him, like, can you try and maybe say it in a different way? Or I know that I kind of sucked right now, but like, if you could just maybe help me through it instead of making me feel bad about it, that would be a little more helpful. Like, I
Right.
already know that it was shitty, or that I didn't live up to this standard. Because most of the time we know,
Right.
right? Like you said,
Right.
like, the people are being mirrors for us. But I do think maybe trying to find a different accountability partner who is either not your spouse. Your spouse might be work well, but if people don't know, or being more having more intention in who you tell,
Right.
and
And I
with
think
that purpose.
before I was an open book. I would
Right.
share it with anybody,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
that's not necessarily the right thing to do. No, not everybody needs to know.
Yeah. Yes. And I think that's where you're getting, and that's how I
That's
definitely have
yeah, I think
felt,
that's
because
probably where yeah, if you ask me, I'll tell you
right, I'll tell you my
5
whole
years
life
ago.
story.
And
Yeah.
now I'm like, um, no.
Yeah. Yes. I think both of us are similar in this way, where I am a pretty open book, and I'm like, well, I'll tell you whatever you want to know about me. Like, you want to talk about it?
Yeah,
But
right.
I actually got, so I pull cards for the year for in tarot, and I did oracle cards this year, and I got it's an octopus, and it was saying how you can think sharing everything means that you're close, or like sharing your life is a part, and it was like, you don't have to do that to be close to someone.
Right.
And that has taken a lot of time, and I'm still working on that with
Yes.
boundaries.
Yeah,
And
boundary. I
it's a
mean,
lot.
that's what that is setting that boundary for yourself. Okay, neighbor down the street, I have a food blog. Do they need to know I want to become an internet
Internet
famous?
famous.
No, they don't need to know that. But I have a food blog. If you want to check it out, check it out.
Right. Yes.
I have a podcast. You want to check it out? They don't need to
Yeah.
know that I'm like all in, ready to quit my job and be a professional podcast. They don't need to know that.
Yeah.
And I think it's learning. I think as you get older, you can make those, hopefully, with experience, you can make those
Be
discernments.
discerning. Yeah.
Yeah,
Be
be
more
more
discerning.
just discernments. Is that man?
Be more
I just
discerning. I
love
was
making
trying to
up
think
words.
of
This is an old reference, but I'm like the George Bush, right? Just make up words
like,
all the
I don't
time.
know.
Um, I think it's through experience and maybe in your 20s you'd know somebody for 5 minutes and you're like, I like this person. I'm going to tell them everything. And in your 30s, you're like, I've known this person for 2 years. I can tell them everything, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So as you get older, you start valuing your friendships become stronger. You start valuing, quality over quantity and you can start am I making sense? Do you know where I'm
Yeah.
going with
But
this?
you know what I find is fascinating is well, boundaries, and that it isn't always best for everyone to know everything about you.
Right.
And but my husband is total opposite of me, where I'm like, it might be in your highest and best interest to be a little more vulnerable, where he can keep everything inside,
Hmm.
and I'm like, "Ah, everyone knows to know everything about me,"
It
and he's like,
annoys
I ain't
Alex
telling
that
shit to
I'm so,
anybody.
yeah, and it actually, that openness of me annoys Alex because he's like, "Why? Why do you have to tell people that?" I'm like, "Well, I guess I didn't really have to, but I didn't really think about it."
Yeah,
And he's
that's
like
exactly how
and
I
he's like, "What do you mean you didn't think about it?" I'm like, "I don't know." So, I love that we're married to the same man.
Oh my god. Well, it's like, so I know there are others out there like our husbands who have a lot of, like, Val is very good at having boundaries.
Yeah.
And I'm like, my boundaries are very far, or if they're even there half the time.
Let's just say I got a lot of land over here. Lot of holes in the fence I can't get to, a lot of
Yes,
land.
yes. Anybody can just come on in. This
Yeah, just walk on
is
in. Wanna hunt here? Sure. It's whatever.
So I get it, what you're saying, and it's like sharing your intentions. So maybe being more discerning in who we share those pieces of our, like, the people who are gonna fucking cheer us on, and they want you to succeed,
Mhm.
and they're not gonna judge you. They're gonna fucking maybe be a good reflector, like
Right.
they can be a good mirror for you, but they're not going to want to pull you down. That's not their goal. The person that you might want to share it with is going to, like I said, want to lift you up ultimately.
Yeah.
And so it's finding those people. I also want to have a friends podcast.
Like, about the show Friends?
Nope,
Oh.
about friends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just
Alright.
I friends are
Are we
fascinating
doing,
to
like,
me.
separate podcast or, like,
No, no, sorry. I want one of our episodes to be
okay,
about
okay. I was
friends.
like, "Are
Not
you starting another podcast without me? Did you hear that in my voice?" I was like, "Are
you're
are
like,
you
"What are
leaving
you
me?"
doing? Are we not friends anymore?"
Wow. I've got something to work on there, right?
Non-attachment,
Abandonment
non-attachment.
issues,
Yeah.
maybe?
Oh my gosh. No, I'm not leaving. I'm not
Okay.
leaving you.
Oh.
Oh my
But
god.
an
But we are
episode about,
leaving this episode. No,
yeah,
just
yeah, we're getting on an hour. Okay, an episode about friends. What else do we help us community manifest? I wanna manifest a sexpert to
oh
come
yes,
on
yes, yes,
this
yes.
year. I wanna manifest, ooh, the Hope series that
Oh yeah.
you so we're gonna, I think what we wanna do, and this was given to us by, a listener, and Reba already had the name ready, so it was like, again, the universe came
Just
together for
perfect.
us. But I think we're gonna do a few episodes where we talk to people who have healed themselves and who, like Reba and I were sick and, came back from it and now live fulfilling, healthy, happy, joyous lives. So I think we're going to try to connect with people who have overcome stuff like that.
Yeah. So
And I'm
and
really excited about that.
yeah, and if you are that person or you know someone who's had where you're like, wow, their healing process was amazing and inspiring, or just they healed themselves and they want to
Right.
share a story, let us know.
Yeah, for sure. Because we wanna talk to them. And what else do we want to talk about this year?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. Numerology, we said just
Numerology,
now.
friends.
Non-attachment. I don't, we are a whirlwind of ideas, and you just really never know what we're going to end up
Yeah.
talking about.
We might do all of what we just said, or we might do none of it. You never know.
But what we do hope for sure is that you guys have a great new year, a great 2022. I had posted like, make 2022 holistic. And,
I love
you
that.
know, I love it too. And I think being holistic is looking at all parts of ourselves and trying to find balance and harmony in that. You know, like
Mhm.
making us a well-rounded whole being and not just necessarily working. I mean, it's sometimes those parts in our lives where we're like, oh, I'm really working on eating right, but then our relationship falls off. So it's like
Mhm.
finding that balance, but working on all of those things just a little, just a little. Like I want to play the ukulele a little bit better,
Oh,
and
so cool.
so it's like if I can
Coming
strum for
soon,
10 minutes,
a concert on the ukulele from Reba.
it's going to be really short and really bad.
Hot cross buns.
But
Hot cross
basically,
buns.
that is exactly how it will go. And I will just sing instead of strum.
Awesome.
No, but like I want to learn Russian and or I want to be better at Russian. So it's like a little bit at a time. It doesn't have to be me going full out to I mean, I could go to Russia and immerse myself for a month. Totally. Um, but those sometimes those little actions are helping us to still be well rounded and not forget parts of ourselves that we want to grow.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, we hope that you'll have a holistic 2022 with us.
Yeah, for sure. Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. That'd be
Tell
great.
your friends. Leave 5-star reviews, all the fun stuff. Yes.
Yeah. So we love you guys. And thank you for listening to our first episode of the second season.
I know. Yes. We love you guys, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.